Hi, I'm Jim Woods with Southport Capital. I'm one of the principals and a portfolio manager here. Today I wanted to talk to you about what's going on in the market. We've had a couple of days of some volatility. Market's down almost 1,000 points. Wednesday and Thursday today, last day of February, first day of March. If that's concerning you overly, if you're laying awake at night worrying about this, you probably have too much risk in your portfolio. Here at Southport Capital, we actually have a quantitative process that we run our clients through to make sure your portfolio matches your personal risk tolerance. So please call us, email us, come see us, let us get your portfolio in line with your risk tolerance.
Good evening, everybody. This is Julie Edwards. So glad that you are tuning in midway into the week on Shoe in the Chat. And if you are getting your W-2s compiled, looking ahead, hopefully, to a tax refund, well, not only are you not alone, but no doubt you're in need of an expert. So we have one for you tonight. James Purgason, one of my favorite people in town.
Hey,
How are
Julie.
you, James?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're smiling. Of course, your firm, Henderson, Hutchison, and McCullough, you're one of more than 100 accountants there at the firm. This is, like you said, this is your Super Bowl season right now.
Yeah. We practice all year, and this is our Super Bowl. This is game time.
And you're going to win.
Always.
So primarily, y'all work a lot with businesses, corporations, so that you're really managing their taxes and their accounts all throughout the year.
Yeah, well, and it's not just taxes. You know, I grew up on the tax side, but it's a lot of just financial management and really just high-level strategy. And what have we seen other businesses be successful doing, and how can we apply that to our clients' businesses?
Do you have businesses, James, of all sizes? And I ask that because you've seen how Chattanooga has grown, especially with entrepreneurial pop-ups.
And we've been a beneficiary of that, too, because that's been a great client base that has grown out of there.
Do people fully realize, if you're listening tonight and you are a startup company or at least relatively new in your existence, is that one of the first things that you learn as a business owner is the importance of having someone like you?
You know, sometimes, I'll put it this way, usually we're not the first firm someone ever comes to because we're a larger group, and I think that can intimidate people sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually when something's going wrong and they realize, okay, now I value what they can bring to the table. Because it's hard to always communicate it because to every client, their situation's unique, and we treat it as a unique situation. There's not like a standard list of services. It's just, hey, I've got this problem. I need help solving it. You go in and help them figure it out. And then now they're starting to value what you can bring to the table outside of just the standard tax or audit.
Let's talk about the standard tax for just a minute.
Sure.
Because for a lot of folks listening tonight, that's kind of where their minds are, whether you are a retiree or a recent college grad or somewhere in your mid-40s still nose to the grindstone. We all have to get these documents compiled this time of year and hope that the numbers add up. And people have a different philosophy on this. Some people think, man, I want to put my money aside and get a refund come mid-April. Other people say, I don't care if I break even. Your friend Ken, coworker, has a different philosophy. Right?
Well, and if you look at it from a strictly a financial perspective, it does not make sense to let the IRS hold your money. Because when you get a refund, that means you've overpaid throughout the year to hold your money for that time period. From a strictly financial sense, you should hold that money and assume you invest that money, and that money now earns you money instead of the IRS earning money. But that's, not everything's pie in the sky like that.
The stars don't always align, right?
And do we always take that money, the little bit in each extra paycheck, and put that into a savings account or buy stocks and bonds with it? No. And so
it goes to pizza on a Friday night. Right?
Exactly. So there's reality, and then there's kind of like, pie in the sky idealist.
Right.
Point of view. So again, strictly from a financial sense, it makes no sense. But if you are not good with money, it is a good forced savings account if you have that refund.
That's a very good point. So there are always changes that come about. I think for a lot of people, maybe they think, well, my taxes are pretty well standard. But the truth is the code's changing all the time, and this year is the perfect example with the recent tax bracket changes. How is that impacting things for you at the firm?
We're used to every year there being some changes, and we're always contacting at least some subset of our client base that those apply to. But it does, with complexity in the code, it convinces more people to maybe seek out a CPA instead of just going on an H&R Block or trying to do it themselves, if even for the uncertainty. There are some people we do, and I tell them, hey, I honestly don't think you need me. You'd be well served by a tax program because that does a great job for a certain portion of the market. Mm-hmm. But they just like the peace of mind. and that's fine by me. But usually we're getting brought in and we're engaged when they are the more complex tax situations with just a lot of moving pieces, because we like to think of ourselves as a planning firm. We do compliance as a byproduct of our planning, but we are not just a compliance firm.
So what's an example of somebody as an individual filer, not a business filer, who would fall into that category?
Sure, someone that has a lot of different investments, i.e. they've got some money they've accumulated throughout their lifetime, and they've invested in stocks and bonds, they've invested in publicly traded partnerships, mutual funds. They might have some private equity, meaning they've helped fund some of these startups as a private investor. That would be our more standard client who needs a higher level and kind of ongoing monitoring of what their tax liability is going to look like and what can we do to mitigate that to the full extent of the law.
You're almost like a guidance counselor, aren't you? Because you said something about you're always kind of keeping up with how the codes are changing and you expect them to.
Yeah.
So you're looking for which of your clients are going to benefit or need to be careful?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've referred to myself as a psychologist at times because it's even just, there are so many regulations and financial instruments to be concerned with as a small business owner that it's overwhelming. Even if you study this in college, you come out and you realize owning a business, you cannot be prepared. There's no textbook that says this is everything you need to know.
Right.
And so you find yourselves more than anything. Yes, I'm a CPA, but by virtue of watching all these small business owners go through these same issues, I've been able to see what they've done well and where, in hindsight, maybe it could have been done a little better. And I'm just applying that to these guys who just feel lost, and they just want someone to help guide them through that maze.
Are there some common mistakes? We'll stick with small business for a minute, since that seems to be a real thriving part of our community here in Chattanooga. Are there some common mistakes maybe that small business owners make?
Usually they don't pay attention to their accounting records until they need to. And when they need to, it's like a fire drill. It's like, holy cow, why haven't I paid attention to this? Because they're busy doing what they know how to do.
They're creating their
making
business.
Money, right? And so accounting in the beginning is kind of an afterthought. And then they say, oh, I want to go raise money from investors, or I want to go talk to a bank about a loan, or I need to really understand what my tax liability is going to be. And they're like, oh, but I really have no idea. I mean, I think I made, but I have no idea. And it's my job to build a road, basically a map that shows them, hey, this is where all your money's going. Right. And let's plug these holes because your ship is kind of leaking a little bit. So we just start plugging these holes and keep the ship moving in the right direction.
But to do that, you have to also, back to your psychologist analogy, you've got to talk to them a lot. It's not just the numbers on paper. It's what their mindset is and their goals are, right? Yeah.
And it's completely, the life of an entrepreneur or even any business owner is you're never just satisfied. You're either terrified and you think you're going to file bankruptcy tomorrow, or you're elated and you think there's nothing that can stop you. But literally from day to day, that will change from the peaks and valleys.
Oh, it's like adolescence.
Yeah, so they're never just like, oh, everything's fine. It's great, or, oh, my gosh, make sure we can keep the doors open.
Well, our goal tonight is to make it great as you listen. So let me give you the number, 267-1023. Call in if you have any type of tax question, whether it's about a recent inheritance that you've had, whether it's about some property taxes and how to handle that, whatever it may be. James Ferguson has a smile on his face always, and his brain is razor sharp. So call in. Henderson, Hutchison, and McCullough, our guests tonight. We're back in just a minute.
Chattanooga's conversation destination. Here yesterday, here today, here tomorrow. WGOW-FM.
This is the sound of cancer being beaten or a catastrophic injury being healed. It's the sound of a little miracle. a sound you hear just about every day in Children's Hospital at Erlanger. Amazingly, these little miracles are taking place in a hospital building that's one of the nation's oldest. That's why we're building the new Children's Hospital at Erlanger, to create more miracles than ever before. To find out how you can help, visit webelieve.build.
Stan the Man here with two of the nicest guys in the car business, Eddie Brooker and Greg Outs for North Georgia Toyota in Dalton.
Well, Greg, how did your Valentine's Day go?
Oh, man, it was great. I think she really loved the heart-shaped dish towels.
You didn't do that, did you?
Oh, yeah, man. She opened those. She started crying and ran out of the room. She couldn't even talk the rest of the night.
Okay, so let's talk about what's going on at North Georgia Toyota. 0% on 20 different models. Great lease rates on all models. Man, leasing's coming back. Huge discounts on all vehicles and a great selection of pre-owned cars.
And don't forget the $1,000 trade-in loyalty on Tacomas and Tundras.
You know, Greg, we talk a lot about our great selection and prices, but I'm excited about the safety features on our product.
That's right. Toyota Safety Sense protects drivers, passengers, and pedestrians.
Wow, you know, Greg, other dealers say we can't do that. What do we say?
We say, oh, yes, we can.
Only at North Georgia Toyota in Dalton. Come see us.
There are many communities north of the river, from Red Bank and Hickson to Soddy Daisy and Sail Creek. These are the communities the Northside Neighborhood House serves. These communities have so much to offer, yet also face great need. Isolation due to transportation issues, limited access to jobs, and a lack of resources, leaving many neighbors struggling to put food on their tables, struggling to keep their lights on, just struggling to make ends meet. The Northside Neighborhood House helps strengthen these communities. There are countless ways we are helping right now, with education, basic needs support, access to technology, just to name a few. Those in need may not live right next door, but they are still our neighbor. They may not have access to what we have, but they should. They may not be getting all their needs met, but they will, with your help. With your support, we can make a difference in the lives of those in need throughout our community. Give your neighbors a hand up starting today. Visit www.nnhouse.org/donate or call 267-2217.
Mr. World here, about to take on the world's wildest rodeo bull. Oh, obviously he's nothing like Eyeglass World, the world's best way to buy glasses. Because the people at Eyeglass World, well, they don't try to throw you off with confusing prices. Nope, they make everything clear and simple. Without all the bull.
Eyeglass World, the world's best way to buy glasses. Come get 2 pairs for $78. Visit eyeglassworld.com for store locations and offer details.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's that phone number again, 267-1023. Call in with your question to James Ferguson at Henderson, Hutchison, and McCullough. We have been talking, James, at the beginning of the show about small businesses a lot and their taxes. It's a timely conversation because any business owner, small or large, pretty excited right now, really, with this new change in the tax law that you can expense equipment now in a different way.
Yeah. Between the equipment expensing or the increased guidelines for being able to expense large equipment purchases, and then to the qualified small business deduction, which essentially allows you to, if you make $100,000 in your business, you only pay tax on $80,000 at a high level. And there are some exclusions and exceptions, but that was one of the big ones Trump touted and tried to get passed through in that final bill, and it actually made it.
And isn't it retroactive, so it goes back to late October or something like that?
The depreciation on the equipment does. The business income deduction will only be from 1/1/2018 forward.
Okay.
But, so there were two historical favorable depreciation laws put in place for businesses buying equipment and investing and growing their business. And one of them got doubled from you could expense half the cost of the equipment in the first year, and now it's 100% after September 27th of 17. So that was applied retroactive to the actual bill date. And then the other one was the increased complete write-off under Section 179. And I'm going to try not to use code sections and bore the heck out of you.
Well, you do sound very official when you do that. So this is, that we call this show every year the Tax Help Hotline. Mm-hmm. You are obviously you have to be skilled and well-read on the changes in the code. So when things are being discussed, when you knew this was coming down the pike, did you have to wait until it actually was official to kind of do a crash course on how this was all going to work?
When all this first got started, we started monitoring the discussion between the Republicans and Democrats and what they were putting on the House floor and the Senate floor to try and get a feel for what might be coming down the pipeline and try and understand the impacts of some of those. So before it was even law, we were starting to study what these provisions might look like and also try to think through what issues they may cause. And then as it gets closer to being finalized, you kind of can tell through the committee reports what is gaining favor and what's losing favor. And so by the time the final tax bill was passed, I would say a week or two before that, we felt pretty confident 90% of it, we had a good idea, was going to go through.
So for people who don't need the services of HHM, they're not that big, and they're going to even do it, go to irs.gov and download a free form to do their taxes. All these changes, are they going to be automatic on those online filings? For example, the child tax credit, that's gone up.
Right. A lot of these forms are getting really good at the basic calculations now, even in the software programs or the IRS free file. So they should do those basic calculations for you. You know, your standard individual that has a W-2 or maybe just Social Security income, those programs should be able to calculate that pretty easily for you.
And if you have things that are a little bit more complicated, because sometimes it's been a long time since we've done it this way, but don't they prompt you with questions? You know, do you have the following? And maybe you fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes I'll even have people come in, they're kind of that borderline, and they say, hey, you know, I don't know that it's so complex that you need to do it, but I also don't necessarily feel comfortable. And sometimes we just sit down with them and explain what they're having difficulty understanding and just make them feel better. And they say, okay, now I feel confident enough to go do my own.
So how is it that you told me the story, but tell me again of how you got involved in accounting, because you know the jokes, you know them about accountants and
well,
being kind of boring.
I had a really weird career path. I was at a military college, the Citadel in South Carolina, and I was dead set on a career in the Army. And I was sitting in accounting class, and that was probably the first class that I wasn't completely lost in. For some reason, it just clicked. And my professor said, you know, all my accounting majors are making $15,000 a year more than my general business majors on average. So I said, well, just in case all else fails, okay, I'll just switch my major because I wasn't too far to where I'd lose any credit. So I did that, and then I went in the Army. Well, after I got out of the Army, the economy collapsed. When everybody was filing bankruptcy, the only people getting hired and the jobs were being created was accountants. So I just said, well, I'll try it out for a few years. It's the only place I can get a job.
Right.
And then I ended up really enjoying it. And funny enough, I'm not in love with accounting. I love being involved with the clients and understanding their story and how they got to it, how they built these businesses. It's fascinating to me. And I get this intimate insider's look into how that happened. And I've met so many great, brilliant people, but good people too. You know, I think this view that business owners are all these big corporate greedy folks, you know, that's not most of the folks. Most of the guys next door driving the truck, and they're just struggling to make payroll, and you want to help make it easy for them because they want to create jobs and they care about their employees.
Well, yeah, you know, to that end, you're right, because you do tend to hear, not that we want to get into any kind of political conversation, but there is the thought that if you have a corporate tax cut, that's going to help the business, but not the individual. And what you see on your side of the table is they want that extra money coming in to put back into their employees who make it work.
Oh, yeah, and I just give you a great example. I can't name the client, but a very close client of mine, just a great guy. Runs a machine shop in town, and when these tax cuts came through, he gave all his employees a 10% raise.
Wow.
Because he said, hey, if I'm getting this benefit, I want them to benefit from it too. And I think there's a lot more of that out there that people don't realize, because those are also the kind of people that will never go and tell anybody else about that.
Right.
You hear about all the bad stuff. It's the good stuff you don't hear about. And in my seat, I get to see that, and it's really neat because those are all the stories you don't hear about. And I would still argue that there are way more good stories than bad stories. And there are bad stories. I'm not going to deny that.
Sure. Now, at HHM, you are a large firm. You don't deal just with Chattanooga clients, do you?
No. I would imagine we probably have clients in all 50 states, or at least we have clients that file tax returns in all 50 states. Predominantly Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky. We have a pretty big client base in the Southeast, Alabama. But then even as far as California, Washington, New York, South Carolina.
Your name, it says it all. They heard James is there. Let's go there.
Oh, yeah. I wish that was the case.
So when we went into the commercial, I had said, let's talk a little bit about some different types of tax scenarios. Inheritance is always one.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great thing to have some money come your way, but then you got to know what to do with it and how to claim it.
Yeah. So, let's say a parent is the most common example. A parent passes, and in their will, they pass to you several $100,000, which is probably not as uncommon as a lot of people would think. Well, the first $10 million passes through tax-free, and it's 10.5, I think. Passes through tax-free, and a lot of people don't realize that, and they think, holy cow, what do I do with it now? Now, let's say that money that passes through to you was invested in stocks and bonds. It's rarely ever just cash sitting in an account that passes through. You have to file an estate income tax return for the period of time that the estate is earning income. But then as soon as it comes out of the estate to you individually, now it's yours, and if it's under that threshold of the gift and estate tax, it's yours. And some people think it's too good to be true.
Right. So there is no secondary tax on it. There is no...
If it's under that threshold.
Under the $10 million. Okay. So if there is a situation, back to your parent example, and you've got siblings involved. So you have to wait, I guess, for the will to be probated.
Right.
And then the executor...
The executor will distribute according to the will document.
So if something happens and the death occurs, let's say in January, and everything is probated and distributed in June.
Right. So you've got a period of time there where theoretically the estate's assets, because you've got the individual that passes, and everything immediately on the day of their death transfers to the estate, because now you're waiting to figure out where it's supposed to go.
Right.
So the estate now has an income tax return if it's earning income while it's waiting to be distributed out.
Okay.
And the executor is in charge of filing that and making sure that happens.
Okay.
And then the executor, once everything gets probated, it goes through the courts, everybody agrees, the executor will follow the will document and distribute those assets out to the heirs or the beneficiaries. And once that happens, as long as it's under the threshold, now mind you, it's not $10 million per beneficiary.
Agreed.
It's total estate value, and then you can pass that out.
Okay, and that total estate value would also include land, or is that a separate thing?
Yeah, you would value land at fair market value and see what the value of that land is. How does that play into the total threshold? You'd basically pool all the assets that the estate now holds. Now, you also reduce it by the debt. Any attached debt.
Sure.
And so that's how you kind of figure out the $10 million figure.
So if the $10 million figure is what you clear,
if you're over and above $10 million, then you're going to pay an estate tax on anything over that $10 million.
Okay. So for folks who are listening who maybe have had any kind of inheritance come their way, unless it's that high, you're fine.
Which 99.99% of the population is going to be under the estate tax.
Okay. What about if you sell a house and you make a profit on the house, but you don't buy a new one to reinvest that money? Do you pay on that?
If it's a personal residence in the tax bill, and this is actually something they talked about removing, and we were actually kind of worried about it. It's called the sale of personal residence income exclusion. If you're married, you get to exclude up to $500,000 in income if it was your personal residence, whether you buy a new house with it or not.
Okay.
And if you're single, up to $250,000 in income. And income being what you made over and above what you bought it for.
Okay,
so not total sales price, the actual income component, the profit. Think of the profit.
Okay, so let's go with this example. It's a seller's market right now. So you've got, we'll make it simple math, $100,000 left on your mortgage, and you sell your house for $350,000.
It's not based on the mortgage. It's based on what you bought the original house for. So let's say you bought the original house for
$175,000.
Yeah, $175,000.
Okay.
Okay, and you sold it for $350,000. You have $125,000 of profit or gain. That's tax free.
Okay.
Whatever you had on the mortgage is irrelevant.
Okay.
That's just debt owed to a bank. It has nothing to do with the overall gain.
It's what your profit margin is over what you purchased the house for.
Yeah, the sales price less what you purchased it for and any improvements you made.
Okay. We got to catch our next commercial. I know I'm not the only person with questions. 267-1023 is the phone number. Call in. Let James help you with your taxes. He doesn't bite, I promise. We're back after this.
Alexa? Say, Alexa, enable the Talk 102.3 skill, and then play us anytime. Alexa, open Talk 102.3.
Earnings vary based on your effort. Message and data rates may apply. Do you want to learn how to make money flipping houses right here in Chattanooga? If so, we have an amazing opportunity for you. We're looking for a small group of motivated individuals to join our real estate investing team. You'll learn our simple 3-step system for flipping homes right here in the local area. This is Than Merrill, star of A&E's hit TV show Flip This House. My team and I are looking for a handful of people in the Chattanooga area who want to learn how to make money flipping houses in your spare time using other people's money. Chattanooga is a perfect market for my system, and next week I'm holding a free 2-hour educational workshop where you will learn how to make money flipping homes and how to build long-term wealth with income properties.
To get 2 free tickets to Than's workshop, text BUILD to 82,000. Seating is extremely limited. Text in the next 10 minutes and you'll also receive a free copy of Than's Money for Deals guide. Text BUILD to 82,000. That's BUILD to 82,000.
Man alive, you don't even have to make the drive. It's winter service specials going on now at Vassy Lawn and Garden in beautiful Cleveland. How about free pickup and delivery on all Toro riding equipment with the purchase of a complete tune-up through February? And you know, Vassy's only uses Toro genuine service parts. Don't wait until spring. Do it now. Take advantage of the free pickup and delivery. Vassy Lawn and Garden is the Master Service Dealer of the Year. That's a national award. Vassy Lawn and Garden in beautiful Cleveland.
I'm Erin Creel. I'm with Chattanooga Room in the Inn. We are a program that serves women and children who are experiencing homelessness. We provide up to 9 months of transitional housing, along with case management, life skills, children's enrichment activities, coaching, transportation assistance, all the help that they need in order to get on their feet, move into permanent housing, and stay in permanent housing. We have a dedicated staff. It's a 24/7 program, and when people are referred to our program, we admit them, and we have a case plan for them where they work on individual goals that might have led them to homelessness in the first place. So if it's a lack of education, we want them to address that. If it's lack of employment, then we need them to get a job. Just a lot of different reasons why people come to Chattanooga Room in the Inn. How people can help us is, first, you can always volunteer. We have lots of volunteer opportunities. You can donate your time, obviously, by volunteering, but you can also donate money, and you can support our events. This May, we'll be having our Derby de Mayo party. The Kentucky Derby falls on Cinco de Mayo, so we thought we'd merge those two events. Just give us a call at 624-6144 for more information, and we can plug you in however you want to help.
Dads, looking for a fun and exciting way to spend time with your kids?
Gentlemen, let me introduce you to Kicking It With Dad, a day to gain some serious stat points and score those fathering goals. There will be food, soccer, music, door prizes, and so much more. Sorry, got a little carried away there. Kicking It With Dad on Saturday, March 10th is going to be an awesome day to just play with your kids. Plus, this event will be hosted by First Things First, so you know you're going to leave with some pro-level dad skills. Go to firstthings.org to get your tickets now. We'll see you out there.
A few years ago, my wife and I went shopping for amazing quality luxury bedding we could actually afford. And what did we find? Nothing. Hi, I'm Scott Tannen. Missy and I started Bull and Branch because we want you to be able to afford the best bedding in the world. By cutting out the middlemen and only selling online at bullandbranch.com, our award-winning sheets cost less than half of designer brands and are twice the quality. Every set is crafted from 100% organic cotton. They get softer and softer over time. That's why we have thousands of 5-star reviews, and even 3 U.S. presidents have Bull and Branch sheets. There's no risk. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bullandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping when you use promo code SLEEP. That's $50 off, plus free shipping right now at bullandbranch.com. Promo code SLEEP. bullandbranch.com spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. Promo code SLEEP.
Talk Radio 102.3.
I always learn something when I'm with James Ferguson. When you go to dinner parties to people, now you're not going to many dinner parties, I know, not this season.
Everybody's dying to sit next to the CPA. You'd be amazed at how many old friends I get texts from come around January, February. Hey, how you doing? By the way, I have a tax question.
I believe it. Are you free 9 o'clock next Tuesday?
Yeah, no.
Can I swing by?
Yep, I'm only popular 3 months of the year.
No, that is not true. How many hours right now are you working a week?
Oh, 80, 90.
Do you try not to look at the clock?
I mean, it kind of all blurs together.
All you can do is think about the faces of the people you're there to help, right?
Yeah, well, I tell people from 9 to 5, you actually don't get any work done because it's just answering phones.
We've got a phone call for you.
Awesome.
Dennis has called in. Hey, Dennis, thanks for your call tonight. And what's your question for James?
I have what has been a hobby business to this point, but I'm actually trying to significantly grow the business this year. It's a food trailer. And I hear everybody say that, for the first couple of years, there's great, tax breaks for businesses in the first couple of years because, I'm probably not going to turn a real profit.
Right.
What my goal is to have a business ready to support, support my income after I retire.
Right.
And, I don't know, do you have to be incorporated to be successful? And is there really all that deduction and advantage by having a business like this?
Well, I will say you're never going to just generate deductions out of thin air. You're only generating when you're spending money. So while you're not paying taxes, that only means because you're not really making money in the startup phase. Right now, you're putting a ton of money into your business to get it up and going. So, the taxes match up with when you're actually making profit, when you're taking home money out of the business. So people get excited because they think, I haven't paid any taxes, but they haven't made any profit yet. So there's no magic button there. Secondly, usually you're investing in equipment, et cetera, to get your business up and going, and that's where we'll go ahead and take those as deductions. Kind of one of the benefits is now you can get some tax dollars back to help offset the cost of that equipment and try and minimize some of that investment, which is the intent of the law. That's why they do it. It makes it a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, can I offset taxes, do you think, from my primary job? Is there enough out there to really legitimately, I want to pay less taxes.
Right.
I'm never going to do anything underhanded or
right.
Not going to make things up.
No, I think your question is reasonable. there are ways, but you get in a pretty complex set of rules. And if you're active in the business, meaning you typically spend more than 500 hours a year, you make all the management decisions, then if you generate a loss, you may be able to offset some of your salary from your other company. But that's a pretty big test to prove, because you say you're working full-time for your employer and you're also active in this business. That may draw some questions.
Yes, 1876, the way I work a 36-hour week. I think it's 1876 versus the 2080, as far as hours per work.
Gotcha.
So, that's, wow.
Now, one thing I would tell you, be very careful about ever using the word hobby in relations to business. The IRS hates that word. There's a rule that says if it is a hobby, you're not pursuing the business for profit, you cannot deduct the losses. And it's to keep people from starting up these sham businesses just to generate deductions when they're really not trying to earn money. And
who said hobby? Did I say hobby?
Hey, I'm just keeping you out of their crosshairs, brother.
See, that's why I called you. Okay, so that answered a lot of my questions. I'm going to have to be legitimate and take a legitimate deduction. I'm going to have to put in 500 or better hours.
And you're going to have to show it's okay to have a loss if you can demonstrate that you're intending and trying to make a profit.
My wife thinks I need to be making a profit.
I'm sure she probably sooner.
Good questions, Dennis. Thanks for your call. Kevin also has called in. Kevin, thanks for your call. James is ready for your question, too.
Yes, I have a question. My wife was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So she is now, starting in March, drawing her Social Security disability. Well, my 11-year-old son also is getting $1,100 a month off of that. Do I have to file taxes on him next year? Does he have to file taxes?
First, I'm very sorry to hear about your wife. And
yes, at 51 years old. Yeah, it's been rough.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. And secondly, if Social Security is his only income, you will not have to. It will not be taxable. So there's no tax return to be filed. Now, they may write you a letter saying, hey, you didn't file a tax return, he had this income. You can just write back and say, well, it wasn't taxable, that was his only income. You can also avoid the letter by just preparing the return and showing that it's not taxable.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Thank you for your call, Kevin. What's the age cutoff now for children to receive Social Security benefits?
Oh, that's Social Security is a whole nother complex set of rules. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. You're allowed one I don't know per show. Cheryl has also called in. Cheryl, if you'll hold tight on the line, we're going to catch a commercial break and give you plenty of time to get your question asked and answered. We're back with the Tax Help Hotline, Henderson, Hutchison, and McCullough in a minute.
Bigger than just one show, it's the way we do business. Talk Radio 102.3 FM is live and local, 6 a.m. till 7 p.m. weekdays. WGOW FM.
Registration is open for the 9th Annual Chattanooga Autism Conference. Autism experts from around the region provide dozens of presentations for parents or grandparents, teachers, clinicians, adults on the spectrum, or anyone seeking to learn more about autism. There are dozens of presentations for parents. Bring your spouse and grandparents and get a family discount. Last year, 200 teachers, principals, and support staff attended workshops for educators. There's presentations for adults with autism and their families about employment, stress reduction, and independent living. There'll be over 70 autism service providers with booths at the conference for you to visit. The conference is Friday, April 20th, but you must register in advance. Go to ChattanoogaAutismCenter.org or call us at 423-531-6961, option 2. That's ChattanoogaAutismCenter.org or 423-531-6961, option 2.
All 2017s have got to go. Walter Jackson Chevrolet wants all 2017s off the lot by the end of the month. They're giving huge deals, rebates, and discounts on 2017's inventory on the lot. Don't wait any longer. Walter Jackson has plenty to choose from. Silverados, Equinox, Tahoe, even Corvettes. The deals just keep rolling. Get to Walter Jackson Chevrolet now for the best deal on 2017. Walter Jackson Chevrolet, where you're never ever charged a dock fee or dealer prep fee. Find new roads to Walter Jackson Chevrolet, exit 348 in Ringgold, Georgia. Online anytime, walterjackson.com.
Hey, Mr. World here. About to experience one of the world's fastest fighter jets. It reminds me of Eyeglass World, the world's best way to buy glasses, because their in-store labs can help you get your glasses super fast. Like same-day fast. Wear 'em home today fast. Whew. Better pack a parachute fast.
Eyeglass World, the world's best way to buy glasses. Come get 2 pairs for $78. Visit eyeglassworld.com for store locations and offer details.
Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy and First Tennessee Bank proudly present the 9th Annual Odyssey Awards Luncheon Wednesday, March 14th at 11:30 a.m. at the Chattanooga Convention Center. Since 2013, CGLA has worked to connect students to caring adults through the Empower Mentoring Program. From tutoring to leadership development, the mentors involved in our program serve as advocates for all CGLA students. So it is fitting that our keynote speaker for Odyssey be David Shapiro, the CEO of Mentor, the National Mentoring Partnership. Mentor leads, supports, and champions the quality of mentoring relationships for more than 5,000 mentoring affiliates throughout the United States. Tickets for the event are $65 per person, and corporate sponsorship opportunities are available. Money raised from Odyssey supports the school's daily operation. For more information about Odyssey or to purchase tickets, please visit cglaonline.com or call 423-468-4105. We hope to see you there.
I met someone. You hear it a lot from people on Match because more people have met their someone on Match than any other dating app. Everyone wants to find that meaningful connection, and Match is not only #1 in first, but second dates too. Now here's a free offer for our listeners. Go to match.com/listen for 7 days free. That's 7 days completely free to search, view photos, and connect. This free offer is found at match.com/listen. That's match.com/listen. Match.com/listen.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynovite.
Pick up 2 bottles of Super Mega Fish Oil.
Get the 3rd bottle free. Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Dogs love it. Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Cheryl, thank you so much for hanging tight on the line with us. The hour has gone by quickly, but we happily have time for your question and James's answer. So what's your question tonight?
Thank you. I was wondering if you could explain to me the difference between an independent contractor and self-employment.
Sure. Well, you mean an employee and an independent contractor?
Well, no, say on an independent contractor or being a small business owner. Is there a distinction between the two as far as?
So at a high level, I'd tell you no. And from a tax perspective, I'd tell you no. By definition, an independent contractor is pursuing business on their own behalf. So they are considered self-employed.
Okay. So that was my truth, because the way the tax codes read, sometimes I am a small business because I'm an independent contractor, but sometimes it worries me that maybe I'm not really a business just by the way I read everything, so I wasn't really sure.
Oh, no. If you're receiving 1099 income, that's typically considered self-employment income, and thus you get to deduct any expenses you incur to generate that income.
Well, I've done that, but like you were saying, I haven't paid a lot in taxes, and this year was probably the best year because it's only been going for 3 years, and we actually made some money, or I actually made some money.
Well, congratulations.
Well, yeah, but now but I was like, oh, look at the amount of tax I've got to pay. But it's good because, like you said, I made the profit, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, I always tell the joke. I had a client that was talking to his banker and telling his banker how good a year they had, and They made so much money, and then he turned around and started talking to me. He said, man, my year was terrible. I can't pay any taxes.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And congratulations. You get excited when you see that, right? You want people to come in having turned a profit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the heartbeat of America. I mean, everybody started out as a small business some way or another. Hewlett-Packard started out as a small business. Apple, small business. You know, it really, and you never know what they can become.
I like, too, how you were talking to Dennis and to Cheryl, and you were saying just show that you're in it to turn a profit. You're in it to make money. That ought to be the name of the game. You shouldn't hang your head for wanting to be profitable in your line of work.
Well, yeah, and it really is to catch the people trying to skate around it came about because all these horse breeders, these wealthy families that were breeding these show horses were deducting like they never turn a profit. Right, that's a hobby. That is not a legitimate business.
Right.
Because you never make enough to justify the cost. But they were trying to deduct it as if it was an ongoing business, and they're offsetting all this other income. And so that was really where these hobby rules came about, where they said, hey, you have to demonstrate to us. You don't have to turn a profit, but you have to show us you're trying to turn a profit, or there's a legitimate business reason why you're not, and that it will turn at some point, presumably.
Do you have any idea how long it takes to discuss the possibility and the idea of changing the tax code before it finally does get changed?
Oh, yeah. Well, I put it this way. It's just like anything that goes through Congress. If it helps somebody, it's going to hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's typically, it's always give and take, and it's just going back and forth. And it usually starts out with a good idea, or somebody has an idea they want to benefit this industry or this group. Hey, we want to bring oil and gas companies, make it favorable for them to operate in the U.S. again. That's how it always starts out. And then you say, well, why aren't you going to help my group out? Or why aren't you going to help my group out? And so it's hard to draw the line.
I guess, when y'all were on last month and Ken was here, Ken White was here, and he was talking about the child tax credit and how that does help people raising their families. But then once your kids are grown, just go ahead and be warned, everybody, because you might end up getting pinched a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're used to getting that every year, and now it goes away.
And now it really has gone away because the exemptions the standard deductions doubled, right?
Well, the exemption, so that was weird. Like, everybody heard about the standard deduction doubled. Well, the exemption went away, and they're pretty close to the same amount. So, in effect, they just combined them into one.
Okay, so what that means is you won't really see that big of a difference, or you will?
You shouldn't see that much of a difference for the standard person that was able to benefit from them previously. Now they've got double standard deductions, so let's say $20,000, and the exemption amount used to be $4,500 per person.
Right.
So most people are married, so two, that's $9,000. So I've added $10,000 and taken away $9,000.
Okay.
So it's really it's all kind of funny games. Yeah.
So do you have to be careful to just be a casual consumer, people like me maybe, who just kind of catch the headline? Or you see the blurb pop up on television or on the radio and you get panicked about something?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like everything, though. Isn't that always how we get panicked about something? We say, until we start to dig in and understand it.
Yeah.
But it's also, the unfortunate aspect is by law, every American citizen is supposed to understand the tax code and how it applies to them. So all 36,000 pages.
Yeah, we don't follow that law very well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all 36,000 pages. This is my career. It is.
That's how big it is, really, 36?
Oh, that's just the code. Then you got Treasury regulations, court cases,
that's the Library
IRS
of Congress.
guidance. I mean, but you're supposed to know exactly how it applies to you. And so it's gotten so distorted that it's. I know I'll get killed for saying this, but it's almost a shame some people have to feel like they need to hire a CPA just to do their tax return.
Because it's that complicated?
Yeah. And I mean, I get it for a complicated business, but for an everyday person that has fairly standard items of income and deduction, when they don't feel confident enough to be able to do their own return, that might tell you we're probably overcomplicating it a little bit. And it is because we give all these special interests. And so every time you make an exception, you just add more complexity to the code, and then it just expounds upon that.
I know you don't know what every person in the country does, but have you ever heard or read data on how many people just don't even file?
I think I've seen it. We look at more of the tax gap, which is essentially what they think statistically they should be collecting based on everyday taxpayers and what they actually collect. And so they think of that as like the underreported tax, right? So people preparing their own returns and underreporting income or overreporting deductions. That's kind of the tax gap. And that's a big number.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking in the billions.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That money could go a long way towards our treasury, couldn't it?
It could probably hammer away at the federal debt, though I don't know that they'd necessarily spend it there. Who knows?
Kind of like the rest of us when we put our tax brackets lower, do we put the extra money where it ought to go, or do we put it into pizza?
Exactly. Put it in Social Security.
I'm with you there, brother. So if folks want to call you, James, and say, I'm a small business, even I'm an individual person, can you help me out? Give them the phone number at Henderson Hutchison McCullough.
423-70693. That's my direct line, or HHM's main line's 423-756-7771.
They have been in Chattanooga for many, many years. Henderson Hutchison and McCullough right there by Warehouse Row. They're local, and yet their reputation known throughout the country. James, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Go to sleep now.
I will.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody.
When love runs high in this time, give it to me easy and let me